it's not about your name, rank, and serial number, right? When you say, who am I? That's not the question you're asking yourself. You're asking yourself, who am I being in this lifetime? What am I standing for, right?
Yeah.
What is my meaning of being here? There's a great line, and it says that there are 2 days that are the most important days of your life. It's the day you're born and the day you find out why.
Welcome to Your Next Big Project is You, a podcast based around the theme of time. Time to be able to press pause on life. Time to reevaluate what's important. Time to reminisce about where you've come from, what you've learned, and what you've accomplished. Time to revisit your goals, dreams, and vision. And time to remember the people in your life. That's it, my friends. If you've got time, fasten your seatbelt and listen in as we discuss opportunities for the next 5 to 25 years of your life. And remember, your next big project is you. Welcome to our podcast. Your next big project is you. And I've got a special guest today that I've known for, I don't even want to say how long. It's going to age us both.
We can't.
Right? I'll just say it was during the savings banks era, the crisis that hit us and things way back then.
Way back.
My good friend, Dolah Saleh, is joining me today. Dolah, thank you so much for joining us.
You're so welcome, Leo.
You know, an educator, a lecturer, an author, you've done so much in your career. And I've known you over the years. Like she said, have you heard from Dolah? What is she up to these days? And I say, well, she's doing executive coaching. She's doing transition planning. She's helping executives to figure out what the next phase in their life is and things like this. She's an author. She's doing a podcast. She's an Energizer bunny. I can't keep up with her and stuff. And finally, we caught up, and I'm so happy to have you here today. Dolah, let's just start with the journey, both the life and your career. Maybe that's a good place to start. And I'd love to get into your current book and some of the key takeaways from that. But let's start with the journey.
Yeah, so after undergraduate school, I taught for a year because that was my degree, my undergraduate degree. And then I went back to my work when I was going to college. I worked for a bank. And I went back there because I felt that I really enjoyed that work. And so my banking career started and my teaching career kind of took a back seat. So that's how I got there. And then it sort of evolved from there. And that's why I ended up in business and consulting because I really enjoyed what I was doing. I was training all the time. So it was
right.
Right. But it was a different mode. It wasn't with children. It was with adults and, all that stuff. So it was fun. I really enjoyed my trajectory.
Wow. So the whole career focus then, when you started doing some, call it what you can correct me on this, exit planning or transitional planning or the executive coaching and stuff, there had to be so many different challenges that people you were working with, trying to help them to maintain their probably sense of self-esteem and relevancy and where their core strengths were and what they need to do to move on. Tell us more about that stage of your career and some of the things you had to address and coach people through.
Right. Well, there was a former colleague of mine from the banking world, and she had gone into managing for DVM, which was Drake Bean Moran, which is a human resource company and an international company. And she called me because she said, I know you do assessments. I know you were in the training area. Do you want to come in and see if you want to coach some people using assessments in their transition? And at the time, there was a lot of transition going on. I don't know if you remember, but there was either downsizing or whatever they call it, upsizing or whatever. There was transition counseling all over the place. So when she asked me that, I thought, that sounds like a good fit. I had made a couple missteps after I left the bank, so I kind of was open to exploring. And I joined Drake Bean Moran at the time under her. And all I did was I started to do groups with mid-level managers, doing groups talking about how to redo your resume, what do you do
Right,
next,
right.
all that kind of stuff. And then that sort of evolved into the executive one-on-one coaching. And that involved a lot of assessment debriefing. And so I found my comfort level really on the one-on-one. Even though I enjoyed the groups, I really found the one-on-one counseling to be more suited to what I was, enjoying the most out of that. So that's how I got into the industry. And then I just kind of stayed there. It evolved back and forth. And I really enjoyed speaking to people one-on-one and getting a sensibility to help them with not only what their next step was, but assessments lend themselves very well to an introspective moment. And perhaps for the first time in their lives, these people are taking a step back and looking objectively at, where have I been? What have I been doing? And have I been
Right.
in the right place? Right?
Yeah.
You know many of those people, right? Right. So that's where I started to get my, real schooling in that world and really enjoying it and staying there. Still not.
Probably felt like being a business psychologist, didn't it, at times where
Did.
I had to think that through the assessment process, and it's almost like opening up the zipper on someone's chest to figure out, I mean, really what's driving them today.
Yeah. What's in your heart and soul, like you say, Leo?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, that had to be interesting where I'm sure you got, some interesting stories where people unloading on their emotions onto you, like almost like as a surrogate psychologist. It's like, I don't know a better way to say it. Like,
No,
Dola, help me. What are you
it's
hearing here? What do you think? Am
yeah,
I wrong? Did I screw up?
I
Am I
know.
capable of getting this? I'm starting to question myself, right?
Exactly. It was so heartwarming to be able to help people in that regard, because one of my favorite subjects in college and in high school, actually started in high school, my senior year, was psychology. So I kind of was well suited to this idea of sitting one-on-one with someone and kind of delving deeper. And they were willing to go there. These big level executives that are making six figures were willing to talk to me about, you know, these tender subjects.
That had to be mind blowing at times. I'm
Well,
sure over some of the tender subjects.
it
I'm
was
sure you got into marriage issues and fatherhood or motherhood or
everything.
grandparent issues or just raising kids or all these other things around the business career stuff.
Exactly. Things that matter to them, you know?
Wow. So
Yeah.
over the years, you start writing, you
Uh-huh.
develop your own podcast. What were some of your key learnings from that? Before I get into your most current book project, tell me about that part of your career as well, and some things you took away from that.
Okay. I'm not sure what's going on. Oh, okay. I had to fix something. Leo, after 20 plus years speaking one-on-one to people and getting a sensibility about what people cared about, in mass. I mean, obviously there are the nuances of the one-on-one situation that were not shared with other people, but by and large, the reason I even wrote the book is because after 20 plus years working with numerous executives in transition, and then all the people that were recommended or referred to me by friends, younger people who were between 16 and 36, that were either, embarking on their future or kind of made a mistake and want to back off earlier rather than later. They don't want to be 40 and make this career decision. They want to self-correct at 36. This is, what happened. So after all of those conversations, I thought, all of these very meaningful conversations need to be recorded. I need to really say something about this, because what I get out of all these conversations is people are searching. They don't always know that they're searching, but ultimately we get into the nitty-gritty of, what is my life? What am I supposed to do with my life? And I read so many books about that I wanted to share that and share it with my clients. So the book came out about, but yes, I loved the sharing that came from it, the openness, the vulnerability, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've got a copy of your book here. Your current one. It's all about you. Responsible search for meaning. I love the title. I love the subtext here. This supports the broader title of the book. Tell us more, just a general overview of the book before I get into a few of the questions that you frame in the book to
Yes,
get people thinking about things.
yes. Well,
What got this over the finish line?
well, it was my persistence in getting it down in writing. You know, all these conversations had to be recorded in some way, shape, or form. And I found the easiest way to do it is just to share what was gleaned from those meaningful conversations. Meaningful to me and meaningful to them because they were making daunting decisions based on some of the discussions we had about the results of their assessments, about their time in their lives, about what money and career has meant to them up to this point, what they've maybe sacrificed for money and career, the necessities of life, you know, having to raise kids, pay a mortgage, get them through college, you know, all the realities and sort of the, you know, the push and pull of those kinds of decisions. So I felt, you know, let me just write about this. Let me get it out of me because I want to share it with other people. And I thought, and I've received good feedback because people have said, yeah, I do think about those things. I
Yeah.
it that we all have considered those questions.
You know, and that's the important thing is starting with yourself, right? You had to get it out of you first. You got
Correct.
to answer the questions for yourself
That's right.
because
And
the more you can do that to practice what you preach,
well, that's
you can
interesting.
help people that you're coaching. You can help other readers. You can just talk through these things with a whole different level of credibility and authenticity. That's what you bring to the table with the book.
Oh, thank you, Leo. Well, you know what? It's interesting that you say that because I guess I was facing during those millions of conversations that I was in the right place, but I didn't even know that. I wasn't
Yeah,
even consciously aware that I was in the right place. But my place is in helping others make good decisions about their lives. That's my place. That's what
yeah,
you know, I'm here for.
yeah. Well, the formalized way of defining that is that's your value proposition or unique value proposition, and you're helping other people to get to a better place than they're in right now. That's a great, as we would call it, a UVP in my world of helping people answer the question, Dola, what do you do? I help people get to a better place, right?
Yes, I do.
Well, you do that. As I was going through the book, there were 5 specific questions that you really get readers to think through. Maybe we can do a minute or so on each of these questions. The
Okay.
first question that hit me is when you talk about, just answer the question, who am I
Am I?
in this existence?
Right.
Say more. Where are you trying to take the reader there?
I wanted them to understand it's not about your name, rank, and serial number, right? When you say, who am I? That's not the question you're asking yourself. You're asking yourself, who am I being in this lifetime? What am I standing for? Right?
Yeah.
What what is my meaning of being here? You know, there's a great line, and it says that there are 2 days that are the most important days of your life. It's the day you're born and the day you find out why. And I think
Mm.
that's underlying in the whole context of these questions. So
Well,
the next question was,
why am I here?
when I hear, why
Why am I here?
again, you know, who am I and why am I here? You know, those are questions we actually at some point or some juncture in that introspective moment that we have with ourselves. Sometimes it takes, you know, meditation and you know, there's all kinds of ways to get there. But we say that to ourselves. You know, Carolyn Miss writes a lot of good books about this. She says there's a hole in the universe where you were supposed to be if you don't do it. So, you know, it's kind of like, why am I here? What is my purpose? So that's, you know, and some of us are lucky. Leo, I think you're one of the lucky ones because I think you found your passion early in life. You were really in the right place from the beginning of your career. It appears to me it just has escalated since. But some of us are in the wrong place and we have to get out of there and make the right decisions for ourselves. And sometimes they're difficult.
It's interesting, Dola, just building on that.
Mhm.
When you find the answers to who am I and why am I here, the answer to that proposition, let's say,
Yeah.
of I'm here to help people to be the best version of themselves or whatever. It's almost like that life mission statement. The light bulb, like the light behind me, goes off at a higher level.
Right.
It's there's another expression I've heard: for he to enkindle another, he himself must glow.
Yeah.
And you glow. You
Oh,
glow.
thank you. So do you.
And
Yeah.
in your helping others,
Yeah.
that light bulb is within you, and others can feel it to do this. That third question you ask, what should I and must I do? Say
Yeah.
more to that, please.
Again, some people, they can't help it. They have to do this, right? From their time they were 10 years old, they knew they wanted to be an artist. From the time they were 5, they were singing. Whatever. Some people are lucky enough to have that passion early on and understand it and know it and pursue it. God bless them. Some of us take a little longer. What should I do with my life? What must I do with my life? Is there a must for me? Do I have a passion? It is said that everybody has a passion. It's your job to find out why, what that is. Well, or not why, but what that is, what that passion is. It's I have another good saying where it says that the day we were born is our lives are God's gift to us, and what we do with our lives are our gifts to God. So I kind of like that. I like that resonance.
Yeah. That it's funny, that third question, what should I and must I do? I didn't realize it. I know you've seen me do this for this oxygen mask.
Oh.
I didn't fully realize it till I had an oxygen mask on and I was on a descending flight, looking out of a window, thinking my life could have been over in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
As we lose air compression to 27,000 feet.
Right.
But what must I do? What should I do?
That you haven't done.
It became so apparent to me, like it was the only thing I needed to do once I safely got off that damn flight.
Yeah. And you did it.
And you got to have people, I think, believe through the book, they don't need to go that type, they don't need to experience that type of scenario. They can read the book, and with the prompting from the questions, maybe come to grips with what they should and must do to do this. So I applaud you for the role that you're taking here. The fourth question: am I working with a predetermined lifespan? Where are you going with that?
That's a philosophical question. Some people believe we are predetermined. Our entry and our exit dates are predetermined. That somewhere, there's this notion that you come in this day and you're leaving this day no matter what. You might be 20, you might be 80, but you're leaving. And I don't know. That's a question that we will never have answered, right, Leo? We will never know if it's predetermined. We just know that every day should matter. That's what we know.
So that's the takeaway. Every day should matter, right? It's really right now, every second should matter.
Absolutely.
We really can't take anything for granted. I mean, you just get a 2x4 hit some days. So where the heck did this come from? I wasn't expecting this day. When you hear about losing a loved one or somebody being injured, or life's changing, to black swan events happening in their life, health, illnesses, associated with that, divorces, separations, being laid off. There's so many black swan events that impact us. Every second matters.
Yep.
So the last question: what will it mean in the end?
Yeah, that's the legacy question, right? Of the subject. What have you done that has made an impact on anyone, including yourself? What have you done? What has your life meant? Whether you're here for 20 years or 80 years, what have you done that means something? Because at the end of the day, we want things to mean something. We want everything that we stood for to be either have helped somebody, helped ourselves, or meant something somewhere along the way, Whether we're doing it philanthropically or whatever we do, it has to be helpful to the universe, in some way. To one person, 30 people, the universe. It doesn't matter.
Dolah, I applaud you. These questions are so important for anyone to answer.
Yeah.
Really. And I know as we get older, we've got a little bit more well of life learnings and wisdom and insight and perspective and philosophies. It's easier to answer some, but we should never take it for granted. We should never take it for granted. And one of the other phrases I'm reading from your book here in the back cover. You said you take a transcendental yet existential view of our time here, from our entry to our exit. That's really a way to capsulize, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those 5 questions,
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
saying on the back of the book here.
it is. Yeah, because it's the realistic, the day-to-day realism of our lives, but yet this sort of like, ethereal sensibility about our spiritual lives. I believe that we are spirits having a human experience. Bottom line, that's what I believe, right? So make it count, make it count. And I believe that, we can look at the day to day and the tangible stuff of our lives, but there is this overarching, need to be meaningful, which is more ethereal. It's more metaphysical. It's kind of out there somewhere that we can't touch that, but
Yeah.
we feel it. We feel it. And that's why I love emotional intelligence so much, because it sort of taps into that, sort of, the feelings part of life. And that's what I feel is transcendental.
Reconnecting with you after many years of going down a different lane, each of us, or
Even though I've heard about
pathway, different highway, we're kind of circling each other's careers, living about 10 minutes from each other for many, many years. In seeing you again, it quite honestly felt like a soul sister returned to my life.
Me too, Leo.
Someone whose emotional intelligence, whose search for meaning, whose quest to helping other people to be their best. I found a soul sister. We came back after years of in our 20s, quite honestly, mid-20s to late 20s, of when we were first trying to find our way in the corporate world, and now to the point where we've found our way and helping others to find their way.
Exactly.
To do this. What an interesting turn of events, how the way the clock has ticked for both of us.
There are no accidents, Leo. There are no accidents.
There are no accidents. Yeah, there are no accidents. I'll finish with this. You've been a part now of my newest work, which touches my heart and soul, the sabbatical experience. And it's so nice to have you experience work we're doing around 7 key elements that really are kissing cousins to the way you talk about it. Living a life with significance, leaving a life with no regrets, living a life with no regrets, living a life with abundance, time, talent, treasure, how we can give of ourselves to others, living a life with gratitude, Thanksgiving every day of our life, living a life with perspective, increasing our sensitivity, the quest to be our best, and ultimately not to leave a legacy, but to live it right now. So it's got meaning in our life every second.
Right.
I mean it. When you think about these, you're introducing me to your work. I'm introducing you to my work. What's your take on the alignment of,
oh my gosh,
of how it's all coming together here for the two of us in our work? And where's your head on this thinking as we end today?
It's incredibly synergistic to me, Leo. And what I got so far from the sabbatical experience is that people, here they are, these very, successful corporate people, and they are within short order being brought into this environment to share such intimacies that, are so inspirational, because you can see that they're willing to be vulnerable, they're willing to be authentic. And so that tells me that if these folks are willing to do this, then can you imagine I think this is a course for everyone. I don't think anyone is segmented from this type of sabbatical experience. It's everybody, no matter how old they are. I mean, the earlier the better, but hey, if you're ready to retire, you're facing these questions. You are. So your sabbatical experience and my work with all these folks coming, culminating in this book, are so synergistic. I couldn't be more related to you.
Yeah.
If I was related to you.
Well, remember when you were doing the group work before you started doing the individual coaching?
Yes.
And I was concerned, would people be open-minded with each other, especially from the same company? Would we have to customize the experience of talking about significance to legacy? And boy, did I get a shot in the arm when people said, no, you don't need to. Just you're making us the best version of ourselves, right?
Yes.
And making us the best version of ourselves will make us the best leader, manager, coach within our organization to do this. Who would have thought you and I would hear someone open up to his peers about a daughter being bullied at a swim meet, or about one of the individuals who said that he was told that he wouldn't live past 50 years old. And he's been working with some of these people for over 2 decades. How they collectively threw their arms around this individual. Say, I never knew this about you.
No.
And it's interesting when you create the right setting and when you facilitate and get people to be feeling free in that they can be vulnerable and they can speak from their heart and their soul, the magic takes off to a whole nother level. And then the introspection individually goes to a whole nother way of thinking.
Absolutely. And they've said that. They said they've gone home and had discussions with their wives and their children. And I mean, crazy. I'm like, yes, it is
mind-boggling.
So inspirational though.
Well, hey, listen, how can someone get a hold of this?
Oh, just Amazon. It's there, Amazon.
Just on Amazon. So to check out Dolah, there we are. Dolah, Saleh, Saleh. It's all about you, a responsible search for meaning. I highly recommend it, and you should get a copy. And what can I say to my soul sister here? What a sincere thank you for being there in my life, being there as someone who's inspired me, who's made me think differently and to reinforce my own thinking for my work. I thank you for that friendship and the gift that you're giving me. Much appreciated. Thanks, Dolah. Thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.